she agreed to that. I really had a lot of orders, and so I think that helped her agree to that easily, because she knew that I was serious. And so I would call clients, they will come pick them up at her shop. She had 2 shops, so she gave me the other shop to just serve some clients from there. And so I sold over 2,000 pairs in 2 weeks, and we became friends because she was getting money and I was also getting some profit off that. And so every client I served, I made
Hello, everyone. How are you? Who's ready for spring break? Me too. All right. Well, thank you for coming out today. I just want to take a few moments to thank all the people that were involved in the event and give you sort of an idea of what we're doing and everything that went into this. So I'm, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Kennard. I'm faculty member here at OWU in the Department of Communication. And I have known Sandra for like the better part of 5 years now, I think. We sort of met by chance at an event that she held at the local library in the community where I live. And I was just inspired by the work that she does and that she's doing with Role Model Magazine, which you're going to hear a little bit about, or a lot of bit about. And so once I got into this role and I was advising and we were getting together with the student board, I sort of had this thought to bring what she's doing here to the university because I think it's such important work. And so if everyone wants to give a little round of applause to say thank you to Sandra for being here today and for doing all this with us and for us. And then I also just want to take a moment to quickly acknowledge the student board. So the Department of Communication student board, we have Megan, Mohammed, Katie, Nebraska, who unfortunately couldn't be here, and then Jada. Another little quick round of applause for them. They've been working diligently for weeks to organize all this. We were kind of joking before the event at how much work actually goes into planning an event like this. Even, you know, when you show up, it doesn't always feel that way, but every last detail down to the icing on the cookies, right? So sit back, relax. We'll have some people coming in and out. We have an event that's taking place with a Zoom panel, and so we'll have some panelists that you can interact with and ask questions, and then we'll also have a panel up here for you today. Okay? And then at the end, we'll give some time for everybody to sort of network and ask people questions one-on-one. I feel obligated to say, are there any questions, comments, or concerns? No? Yeah, right. Restrooms are located back there. All right. Well, without further ado, then I'm going to introduce Sandra Brogdon to come on up and just talk a little bit about herself.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is to be up here. I was trying to do the behind the scenes. If you notice, I didn't want to be on the program, but I figured I might as well say who I am and kind of introduce myself. But so briefly, because I want us to go straight into our program, I'm Sandra Brogdon. I'm the founder and publisher of Role Model Magazine. We started Role Model Magazine about 12 years ago, and it was one of those things. I was a marketing major, graduated from Franklin University, and after getting married, having kids, I really felt that I wanted to do more. I was staying at home with my daughter and realized that there was this space in this world where she wouldn't be able to see herself positively, and the media was telling her different things, and so Role Model was kind of birthed through the need to tell a different story for girls. And so we are all about inspiring girls from all around the world, all walks of life, to really embrace their stories, dream big, and make bold moves. So last year, yeah, and so fast forward to last year when Dr. Kennard sent me an email. She's like, well, do you want to come and talk to the girls, our students, about what you do? And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about me. Why don't we just do something different? And so that's how this event came from being, I think, a classroom project to now our conference kind of, sort of, but it was fun working with the students. I hope you guys don't quit. I know event planning can be, but this is part of the journey, and it's just good to see it finally here. So without further ado, I'm gonna go straight into what we're here for, and it's to really celebrate unstoppable women from around the world. We started this book in 2020, then COVID happened, and so 2 years down the road, we're still kind of on the journey, but we wanted to really highlight women and girls from around the world who are doing amazing things and just kind of really being unstoppable in pursuit of what sets their soul on fire. So today I'm proud to introduce our keynote speaker. She hails from Kenya, and so that's where I was born and raised, and it was nice that the students chose a Kenyan student, but she's an amazing young lady. She's got an amazing journey, so you'll get to hear her story, and then we'll go into our online panel discussion. So welcome, Yves Maina, and she's the founder and CEO of Shoe Space Africa.
Sure that I had their number saved and their names. So after the 2 weeks, I formed a group, and that was the best thing that I ever did. I formed a group, those clients, for the same clients, and now at least I had somewhere to market, or people to market to the shoes that maybe I will get in future. And so the shoes got sold out, and now I was like, what do I do next? I did the same thing. I went to someone else's shop. I took some really, really nice photos and posted them. Now I had my own groups, and so I posted them again, the same thing. Clients bought, people came through, they bought the shoes, and so I was able to raise my capital from that. Yeah, I got my capital from that, because remember, I didn't have any money coming in. And so what I was just using is goodwill of people, like talking to people and telling them, oh, I have these clients who buy in bulk and who love to buy from you through me. And so I did that. I got my first capital. I set up my business, and that is how Shoe Space Africa started. How I worked my way around that. So as I was thinking about what I was going to share today, the one thing I asked myself a very, very interesting question. What's the one thing that has worked and eased my entrepreneurship journey that nobody told me was important? And I realized that nobody told me how important business relationships are in the world of entrepreneurship. And when you decide to start a business and begin the process, every meaningful relationship you create from that point will work to your advantage. In 2017, and so for me, even when I didn't know what I was doing, I was creating relationships with people, with suppliers, with clients, with people I was working with. And I am pretty much good with people, not so much, but I am able to create and naturally maintain good relationships with people. So that was so obvious to me, but looking back, it's not obvious, because relationships are what I have come to realize that they are the backbone of any entrepreneur, or any person who is in a certain career, any career. And so I thought about it later, and I was like, if I didn't do this from the beginning, I wouldn't be here. So as Shoe Space, our next step is in training people who are in struggling communities how to make shoes, and they will use those skills to make money for their families. And we hope that we will also do that make shoes for kids who go to school barefoot here in Kenya or in Africa. And yeah, that will be our way of giving back. As I conclude, what I think makes me unstoppable is that I have something that will help me to go to the next level, and that is meaningful relationships. Thank you so much for having me. Hello and welcome to this amazing event. I love such spaces where women get to talk about what makes them unstoppable. And my name is Yves Maina. I am 27 years old from Nairobi, Kenya. I am an entrepreneur, very industrious. I always say that I am in pursuit of financial freedom. I have these fantasies where I just imagine myself buying anything I want without checking my account balance in future. That's a dream. It will come true. And so I run Shoe Space Africa. We import and distribute shoes to retailers who later on sell to the final consumers or the wearer of the shoe. And so that's our business model. And I started Shoe Space in 2017 after I quit my job, a few months after I quit my job. And in 2017, I didn't know where to start. I was really stranded. I have no talent. So as I was thinking of what to do, I was confused. So I thought about what I was really good at, or what comes effortlessly to me. And the one thing that I realized is, all through growing up, everyone was really interested to know where I get my clothes and my shoes. So I realized that I have a very good eye, a very, very good eye in good things, clothes and shoes. And so when I decided that's the one thing that, or when I realized that's the one thing that seems so effortless to me, or comes so easy to me, or I do, or I find joy in doing, I decided to give it a try. And so I went to the market here in Nairobi, where they sell shoes in bulk. And as I was there, I made a decision that if this is really what I want to do, then I have to go all in. And so I went around taking some photos of some shoes that I really liked. And I met my friend who was there, who has shops there, or who had shops there, still has shops there. And he told me about how the business works. And so he had formed groups, WhatsApp groups, that had clients. He had saved his clients' contacts and names. Every client he came across, he made sure he had their details. And so he formed a WhatsApp group and would update the clients on what's available, what's new in stock, and just updates, normal business updates. And so I thought that was a really good idea. And at that time in Nairobi, nobody was really doing that. Everyone was not embracing social media as a form of marketing at that time, or like social media as a way of making things easier for the business and for the customers. And so instead of clients coming all the way to the shop to know what's in stock, you can just send them photos and update them on what's coming and stuff like that. So I realized that that's a really good idea. And so I requested him that if I can use his groups to post some of the photos that I had taken from other shops. And he was gracious enough to allow me to do that. And that is when it first struck me that, wow, some relationships, or rather the thing that you don't think is important takes a 180 degrees turn and turns out is very important. And that's what I'm talking about, relationship. So I posted the shoes and didn't think much about it. The next morning, my phone was buzzing. It was crazy. So everyone was like, where can I get these shoes? They're really nice. And I didn't have them. I had literally taken photos from other shops. So I went back to those shops. There was one particular shoe that was really in demand. And so I went back to that shop where I had taken that photo. And I requested the lady there if I can resell her shoes while they're still in her shop to other clients, and I would get the profit from that. and she agreed to that. I really had a lot of orders, and so I think that helped her agree to that easily, because she knew that I was serious. And so I would call clients, they will come pick them up at her shop. She had 2 shops, so she gave me the other shop to just serve some clients from there. And so I sold over 2,000 pairs in 2 weeks, and we became friends because she was getting money and I was also getting some profit off that. And so every client I served, I made sure that I had their number saved and their names. So after the 2 weeks, I formed a group, and that was the best thing that I ever did. I formed a group. Those clients, for the same client.
Worked very hard in her field, and I can't wait for her to speak to you. Well, here's Jada.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'm gonna let our online panelists in. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will be interviewing Chloe, Cassidy, Alex, and Kennedy. They are our Girls on Fire panelists, and so they are in our generation. If you guys want to tell us a little bit more about your story, who you are, where you've grown up, what you're most passionate about, and how did you get where you are today? Whoever wants to go first.
So I'll start off if you guys are okay with that. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassidy Murray. I'm originally from the United States, but I grew up in Italy. For the past 9 years, my family and I have been traveling around the world full time. I'm visiting 112 countries, just really getting to know the different cultures of our globe and really trying to understand how we can make a difference in this big world. And so what really I'm passionate about is refugee advocacy. Over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to work a lot with refugees, and especially refugee kids and women. And in 2019, had the opportunity to start a school for Afghan women here where I am in Athens, Greece, where a lot of my work is focused. Over time, I've just started multiple charities and organizations, and eventually moved into youth advocacy and change making, and really just raising awareness about the power that youth have to make a difference in the world. I'm really excited to be here today and to be amongst these wonderful girls. And I'm really excited to see whatever.
Thank you, Cassidy. Do either Kennedy or Chloe, do you guys want to go next?
I can go. Hi, I'm Chloe. I am the founder of Chloe Cares, which is my nonprofit organization, where I help women experiencing homelessness by making tote-like bags and filling them with bare necessity items and passing them out to them, as well as I teach kids leadership workshops and business skills, and I install water pumps and bathroom facilities in Ghana where they don't have access to clean water. So I have grown up in Orange County, California. I'm most passionate about, like I said, supporting the homeless community, supporting youth in finding their passions, and then aiding the water crisis in Ghana.
Thank you, Chloe. Kennedy, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. And sorry, my camera is off. I was having a little technical difficulty.
Oh, you're fine.
But I'm Kennedy Simone Smith. I'm from Shaker Heights, Ohio. I'm 19 years old, and I'm the founder and CEO of iArt Cleveland. It is an art space nonprofit that aims to create more youth leaders by connecting underrepresented youth to arts programming, funding, and education sources. I also founded Chatter Talks, which is an online speaker series that allows girls to form a community of like mentors and other girls who are interested in similar topics. And we talk about things like STEM, social justice, human rights, basically like expanding mentorship for girls in an online setting. And I would say that, you can kind of guess what my like biggest passions are based on the organizations I work for. I would say that my mission is essentially to be able to bridge inequities for youth based on things like their race, gender, or where they live. And I want to do that through STEM or through arts and social activism. So right now I'm studying at Columbia University. I'm a freshman and I'm focusing on computer science and cognitive neuroscience.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming and being here with us today. I really appreciate it. I can speak for all the members on the communication board and say we're just happy that you guys took the time out of your busy day to come and inspire us. So for our first question, I wanted to ask, when did you decide that this was the path that you wanted to pursue? Was it a certain age or a boss or an advisor that inspired you? What got you started and what you're doing now?
With me, it started with my charity when I was around 8. I believe I heard God tell me to help a woman who was homeless. And from there, it went from helping one person to thousands to traveling and speaking about my work, and just helping other youth identify their passions and then doing work in Ghana. And I like to say that Care Bags has made it for me to travel the world and share my experiences and motivate others. But yeah, I think it all started when I was 8.
For me, it started when I was 14. I heard about the refugee crisis in regards to the Syrian refugee crisis on the news. I heard about it and I knew I needed to help in any way I could. Some of my family and I traveled to Turkey, where a lot of the Syrian refugees were, and we started volunteering on the streets and handing out essential supplies to families and kids. And it eventually evolved to where my sister and I founded our own charity called Kids Unite for Hope, really just foundational, founding on this concept that kids can make a difference, no matter your age, no matter your youth, and kind of like you're doing, Chloe, and what you started when you were younger, and really just starting these different projects with what we had access to, and then it eventually grew, and we started more projects and in different refugee camps and such. But it really started when I was 14, and just trying to make a difference in any way I could.
And for me, I think it started around the age of 11 or 12. I would really say that at a young age, music revolutionized my life. I was really shy when I was younger, and being able to participate in music helped me learn not only to like express myself confidently, but be a leader even if I'm not in the foreground. It just taught me how to be more, how to use my voice in order to amplify my own sound, but also support other people through the arts. And when I learned that there was thousands of youth who didn't have access to arts education in the inner city of where I live, I knew I had to do something to help other youth have the same kind of a revolutionary experience through art that I did. So that's when I decided to start working on iArt Cleveland and began doing work to connect more underrepresented youth to arts access.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you all for sharing. So who do you see as your role model, and how did they inspire you as a young adult to go after your dreams, and how did you discover them? Anybody could go.
I'll go first then. I'm breaking the order. So I would say that definitely my first role model, as cliche as it sounds, is definitely my mother. She's such an inspiration for me, and she sacrificed a lot in order to make sure that I have the resources that allowed me to even feel empowered enough to create my own organization. And she was really supportive and, helping me get the information that I needed to do my own independent endeavors to support my community. And something that I really learned from her was the ability to not only be resilient, but be able to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm going through, that who I'm doing it for is most important. Like what I'm doing now is going to be able to help not only, the people around me, but hopefully you'll be able to help inspire them to help people in the future. And being able to continue to do my work with my mom's support has just been the biggest blessing of my life. So
I love that.
Like Kennedy, actually, my biggest role model is definitely my mom also, just because she's always been there to support me, and just through her challenges and everything that she's overcome, having overcome cancer twice and then still achieving her dream of traveling the world and trying to make it to every country as the first disabled woman to do so. It's just so inspiring, and just seeing that she has achieved that everything that she's wanted to do, and just is really living this dream despite all of these obstacles, has definitely inspired me, and definitely inspired me to just continue persevering and keep following these different dreams and these different goals that I want to accomplish. And she's really just embodying that every day. She has since I was a kid and continues to do so. And I definitely say she has always been and always will be my biggest #1 role model.
I feel so bad because I'm not saying my mom, but yeah, she is also one of them. Um, but my role model is Malala. After reading her book and watching her documentaries, I saw myself in her. She started as a young girl fighting for girls' rights for an education, and where I was advocating for those experiencing homelessness, and her story just motivates me and has made me want to be a change maker.
Thank you, guys. So we're all in school, so we all kind of know the stress that comes with that. When you feel drained or you feel exhausted on top of having organization and being in school, what inspires you to keep going? Like, what do you do?
For me, I run, because with the work I do, uh, you don't really expect to get anything physically back in return. But one thing that really inspires me is called smile money. So I like to call it this because if you really think about all the smiles and the joy you're able to bring someone, it's able to pay back all the exhaustion and all of the actual funds that have gone into everything, and just all of the work that has gone into everything. It's paid back with the smiles and joys you're able to see on people's faces. So I think what really keeps me going and what keeps me motivated is the idea of getting some smile money today.
Oh, I love that so much. That's such a good idea. And I was going to actually say something similar. It's when I really need that motivation, when I need to remember why I'm doing the work I'm doing, even though it can be sometimes emotional, sometimes exhausting. I definitely try to remember the people that I'm doing it for, and just trying to remember the faces, remember the stories, remember the different things that I've heard that have influenced me and motivated me to really advocate for this cause that is sometimes difficult to really process, hearing these stories, especially when it's regarding war, and you're just hearing about all these difficulties and you're emotionally taking on yourself. I feel like just remembering who you're doing this work for, so that if you sometimes feel overwhelmed, that you can then just remember that you're doing it for something that's so worthwhile, and that you're actively making a difference in these people's lives, is something that I tell myself, is something that I try to really keep in mind whenever I get exhausted or whenever I get tired.
yeah, I love both of your ideas. Definitely think that's something that I'll definitely keep in mind more in the future. And I think that for me, whenever I'm feeling tired or overwhelmed, I think about how the people, like how what I've been doing is able to help some of my mentees actually continue to pursue their dream. And not only just mentees, but just like friends or the people in the community that I've been able to touch, like seeing them succeed. Like even recently with, I have a lot of friends going through like scholarship applications and applying for college, and being able to see them like succeed and do some of the same things that I did after, supporting them, giving advice, and just, being a good friend and community member. It's just really inspiring. And it's also a reminder that, we're all on this journey in order to not only achieve our personal dreams, but to get back to our community. So to be able to know that that what I'm doing has been able to help other people get towards their dreams is enough to know that, I have to continue no matter how hard it gets.
I love all of that. That's amazing, guys. So I know the first question kind of goes into the next one. We talked about like, what do you do to inspire you? So what do you do for yourself? I feel like you guys give a lot back. What do you do for yourself as far as, self-care and to your daily routines? With COVID, we've definitely had isolated times to be with ourselves. So have you found a good self-care regimen for yourselves?
Most definitely. I love reading. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Wrapping myself in a good book is always great. Especially exactly since COVID and has limited travel. Getting lost in a book is my self-care because I feel as if when I'm reading, I'm really able to explore wherever you're reading at, and you're able to imagine this whimsical place or realistic place. Wherever you are, you're able to imagine it. And so I really love reading because it's able to take me away from wherever I am.
I completely agree. I was actually going to say reading as well. Just like you said, being able to explore these fictional worlds in your mind and be able to really to leave this world and go to 1,000 other worlds is something that is so special. And that is something that it makes me so happy. And that's one of the main things that I try and do every day as a self-care routine, is to do at least one thing that just makes me undeniably happy. And reading is usually that one thing. But then another thing that I just try and do, which I don't always accomplish, but I try to, is definitely journaling and just trying to empty out my thoughts at the end of the day, whether they're happy, whether they're sad, just trying to empty all those emotions out at the end of the day.
Definitely echoing doing that one thing that makes you happy. And it kind of relates to this practice I have where I have this kind of piece of paper on my wall, and it's titled like Little Bits of Happiness. And I keep a list of all the things that I just feel like it's just little microcosms of happiness for me. And every day I try to do something or engage with something that's on that list. And it's literally just like random things, like staring at the way like the wind like blows the leaves, or like holding a cup, like a fresh brewed cup of matcha tea, or like being able to walk around campus and like on a nice day and seeing like the kids who play in the lawn, like being able to take just a little bit of time to appreciate those little wonderful moments of life really keeps me grounded. There's a lot of things that are going on, and just a reminder that life is beautiful and it's okay to slow down. Like being able to remind myself of that every day is really important.
Yeah, that's so good. So you guys talk about reading. So what's your favorite book to read?
I have many books that I love. There's one called Good Trouble. That's a really good book. I love that book. Read the Young Readers edition because I don't really know what the original one is like. I've only read the Young Readers. I love The Great Gatsby. I was trying to think. I really love this one book called Anna and the French Kiss. Those are like my top 3 favorites. Like those are great.
I would definitely echo like a lot of fiction, fantasy type novels. Sometimes when I want a comfort, I go back to some of those books I continuously reread when I was younger. So I really enjoyed the Shadowhunters series. They actually made it into a TV show, and I think the books are so much better. And there's a lot of books within the series, and so I love revisiting those. And then when I was younger, Twilight was one of my guilty pleasures. So I love like going back to read those books sometimes too.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same, like fantasy fiction, historical fiction. I think one of my favorite books recently is The Nightingale. It's more of a historical fiction. And then nonfiction, there's so many different ones, but I love Prisoners of Geography because I'm very into geopolitics. But I'm definitely focusing mainly in fantasy at the moment, which I absolutely love, and because you can get lost in these worlds. But I love all the recommendations that you guys said, and some of the ones that I've read too. Love all those books. Anyways, but yeah, I'd definitely say The Nightingale is my current favorite read.
Okay, well, thank you. Alex, welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm so sorry I'm late too. I had the wrong link or something.
No,
I couldn't
you're
get
fine.
in. I was so sorry. Sure. So hi, I'm Alex Freeman. I'm a singer, songwriter, anti-bullying activist, and also I work with the Association for Suicide Prevention. I am an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of other things I could get into, but I don't want to throw everything. I have been songwriting and singing since I was 5 years old, and the first song I ever wrote was an anti-bullying anthem. And that's one thing that I feel like is very, very important, being able to, like, I was bullied from a super young age, from when I was like in kindergarten, and I wanted to do something about it. I have that type of personality that's like, when I feel like something is wrong and I want to be able to fix it. So like, okay, what do I do to be able to make a change is something that's really important to me. So with that, I created my anti-bullying anthem song when I was 5 years old. And it's the simplest thing on the planet, but it's one thing that helped me be able to help so many people, from going into schools and summer camps and all kinds of different performances, going to talk to kids and teach about anti-bullying. And then from there, I had my own lip butter company. So I had my own cosmetic line. It started with like a couple of shades of lip butter, and I made a few more. And that I did when I was about 9 years old. And then from there, I have a new company that I'm working on and all kinds of stuff like that. It's very, very exciting. But for me, I've been doing literally anything that I feel like is like exciting, and being able to create my own businesses and being able to help people with bullying and suicide prevention and everything like that through music and any way that I possibly can.
Wow, thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing. Can you all describe your 3 greatest values in life and why?
I'll go ahead. My 3 greatest values in life, like the things I find of like most importance.
Yeah, like
Okay.
peace or joy or
Yeah.
perseverance or something. I don't know.
Okay. I think that being fulfilled with the things that I do. So like when I create a song, creating something that I love. So being able to love the things that I'm doing, I feel like is so important to me, and being with my family and spending time with them. And then also being able to help other people. That's so important to me. And I feel like one thing that, like, out of everything, if I could be able to help like one person and make their day better every day, makes me happy.
Yeah, so I think that my 3 values, the first one is empathy. I think that is something that has been foundational in all of my work, just being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, even if you haven't experienced something, but that compassion, that ability to really understand and try and understand someone else's situation. That is something that has guided me throughout all my work with refugees and human rights. The second is passion. Something that I tried to instill in all my projects is just really being passionate about them, making sure that I'm continuously doing something that I love to do at the same time, so I don't get drained and I don't lose that motivation. And finally, I think community is the biggest one. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, we all need people to support us and people to have a similar vision or a similar mission. And so I definitely feel like that is something that I try to instill in each project, in each NGO, in each organization that I'm a part of. So those are my 3 values.
And then I can go as well. I think with me, my 3 core values, or my 3 greatest values in life, I think really my core values are to do everything. But it's probably a pure heart. Like, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to do this, and you get to do these things as well when you do these things. And I think having a pure heart is really what helps you want to inspire and be able to do all the things that you do. I think being a speaker, I have to be a speaker. It's something that I really love doing and talking and inspiring other people through my words. And lastly, especially because I deal with homelessness, to treat everyone with respect, regardless of their situation. I think it's just like it should be common knowledge at this point. But yeah, I think those are my 3 core ones.
And I would say that I definitely echo a lot of those values and try to add some new ones that haven't been said. I think that one that's really important to me that I think about every day is drive. There's so many things that we're doing every day, and things like motivation, passion, attention, like all of those things can wane at some point. But if you're driven, if there's something like inner, deeper that is something that's going to motivate you, then it's something that I don't think will go away. So I always try to think about, why am I driven to do what I'm doing? And how can I surround myself around other people who are also driven? Echoing some other ones, when Cassidy said community, I would echo that, but also say specifically like supportive and supporting community. So making sure that I'm surrounded around people who are supporting me, and I also continuously support my community. We're all in this together, and our community is only as strong as our biggest members. And so to be able to make sure that you are supporting your community in whatever way you can, and that you're surrounded by people who can help you in what you're doing as well, is really important. And then the last thing I would say is echoing pure heart. I would say just honesty. I think being honest with yourself and also being honest with other people is the only way that we can actually evolve, make progress, and just like live together with trust. And so honesty is something that's really important to me.
I love all those. Thank you, guys. So how do you manage work-life balance? So school, friends, family, hobbies, your businesses. How do you guys handle that?
I think having some sort of organizational process, everything with me is organized. I have to have it on a calendar. I have to know alert. I have to have all of that to make sure I stay organized. But organization is key. And then I also have to make time for things. So say I have school today, but I want to hang out with my friends the same day. I got to make time in between, whether I'm doing something that day or not. I have to make time for it. So yeah, scheduling, putting it on a calendar, and just really making time for these things.
And to add to scheduling, I would say having a routine is so important. I am an organization addict. I love things. So it's all types of calendars, Notion, Google Calendar, bullet journaling, all that stuff. But it was only sustainable when I actually had a system and a routine in place that allowed me to keep those things updated. So, even though I definitely say I'm not someone who can follow my routines to the T at all times, I have my routines written out on my wall to always remind myself, if you want to make time for things, you actually have to have a set of habits that allow you to do those things. So I always keep that in mind.
I love that.
So for me, it's also bullet journaling and just trying to keep that organized. I swear I would not survive without my bullet journal. I write everything down in there, like what book I'm reading so I don't lose track, or that I need to keep up with friends, or that I need to spend more time with family or school. Everything is managed inside that bullet journal. So I definitely feel like that is what really holds my life together, that and Google Calendars. And just really, like you both said, is just really keeping in touch with your schedule and establishing these routines. Even though I'm often traveling and I'm constantly moving locations, just trying to establish this routine that I do every day when it comes to checking on my work, checking my emails, all these different things that may seem simple, but when you're just doing so much, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So I definitely feel that the biggest way to balance work, life, family, and NGOs as well is definitely bullet journaling is my key to everything.
My schedule tends to be very hectic, especially being in the entertainment industry. When you find out the next day, oh, you should be in LA for this event. I'm I'm literally in Florida. That's hard to get there. So finding ways to being able to make time and know okay, this is the things I need to do for me today. And these are the things I have to do for school today. And these are the things that I need to for me, I also have to post on Instagram as many times as possible a day. Being an artist, I have to be able to grow my audience and be able to create an audience that will listen to my music. Because that's what's really important. Otherwise, you put out a song and nobody listens to it. It's heart shattering. So for me, I make sure I post every day. I do things for myself. I spend time with my family and do schoolwork. And then from there, find ways to be able to, for me, things for myself, there's always songwriting, stuff like that, because it's my time to be my emotional outlet. So anything that happens in my day, I can write about it because that's what is my tension and release. And I am not very organized, at all. So I try my very best to be. I have tried to bullet journal and then I forget about it. and I get inconsistent. So that my goal is that my phone calendars definitely are very, very helpful for that though. And knowing like, and being able to like set my intention of knowing, okay, I need to do this today. I need to do this today. And like, for me, I like to write down like my to-do list, but then I'll be like, okay, so I did these, and then also whatever gets thrown at me during the day. So I try to just incorporate everything the best I can.
I could say for me, like the sense of gratification I get when I can cross off something that I did it is like, it's amazing. So we're about to wrap up. We have like a couple, like 10 minutes left. I wanted to see if anyone in the audience had any questions for our panelists. Did anybody have any questions that they wanted to ask anyone? Yeah.
Hold on, Alex. I'll get you a mic.
They're giving the mic to the audience member right now.
All right, first time using a mic, so might be weird, but okay, so you mentioned having a series of habits built up around staying organized. What would be some good habits to get into to keep that? Because I have a system right now, and I know for a fact it's going to fall apart just like the rest of them, so keeping on it would be good.
Did you guys hear what he said? Okay, so he so he kind of jumped off of what Kennedy said about having a good routine and having a habit system that you do so that when you have your bullet journaling, you actually are consistent. And so he was asking, you know, what habits should we do in that routine? Everybody can answer, but I just wanted to make sure that, yeah.
I can go first since I brought it up. I would say that this is something I like to do every time that there's like an actual break, and every time an actual break in like my like semester and like a new part of the year. So like every time we have like spring break coming up, I'm gonna do this next week. Every time there's a holiday, anytime like I have extra time, I rethink this. And that is, okay, what are my ideal like morning routines and night routines, first of all? And then how do I incorporate within that routine, like time allocation, as in like time blocks. And so like in my morning, like, key things are obviously getting dressed, doing all that stuff, actually eating because, things get so busy. And then also like incorporating other things that you may need to do. So I have like different routines for different days. Like say it's like a Wednesday, I have a little bit extra time in my morning. So I make sure like, okay, I spend time making sure my calendar is together. I time block things for the rest of the day. I look ahead in the week and see what's going on. And then at nighttime, I also have a little bit extra time. So, I do some yoga, some meditation, and things of that nature. But I definitely think the most important routine, even if you don't have like a separate routine for each day, is at least like on a Sunday or Monday morning, like however you feel like your week starts, like sitting down and looking at your week, looking at the past week, well, what didn't, and then looking in the week ahead, what do you have to do? Where can you ask for help? Where can you delegate? And like, where does all your effort need to go to? I think that keeping that Sunday routine, even if all the other ones don't go well, that Sunday one really keeps me grounded and organized.
Does anybody else want to answer? If not, that's fine. We can move on. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions in the audience? We have one.
Being young people, what was it like to really get your projects or organizations like off the ground and up and running?
She said, being young people, how was it like getting your organizations, companies, businesses off the ground, up and running?
Mine was all out of luck. Really, it wasn't really like a I have a posting strategy or like a strategy to this, and I make sure that I know people are on here at this time. And it wasn't any of that. It really was out of luck. I was doing what I loved doing, and I was telling people about it, and then people liked it. And so, and then it just led to more and more and more, and then here we are. And so it was really just continuing what I love doing and hope for the best. And I wasn't even looking to have people try to follow me and have like sort of following. I just wanted to show people what I love doing. And so I think do what you love and just hope that more comes with it. But also remember, unless if it's nonprofit wise, that it's really all that you do is really revolving around the nonprofit, then social media wise, and don't focus too much on social media and too much on that, because you're doing something that's changing the world and something's always going to come back to you. So just keep that in mind. And then business wise, that is not my league, so I probably will pass it on to anybody else here.
Yeah, I definitely say that at the beginning for my nonprofit organization, it was definitely about finding a need in a community and seeing how in refugee camps there were no youth getting involved. It was all organizations that required a minimum age of 24. And seeing that, and my sister and I were 14 and 16 years old, we really saw this need for young people to get involved in these refugee camps and to be there for peer-to-peer connection, because there were so many kids from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan that just didn't have any other peers to connect to. And so that was really why we started our organization, was really approaching this from more of a youth perspective when it came to these different crises. And then it evolved over time, and just we had a little bit of difficulty trying to find our footing as young people. But then eventually, once we were there, we really showed that there is such a niche for youth making a difference in every scenario, in every situation, even in a refugee camp. And we got to see the value of that. But it was definitely really about finding that need, first of all, and then trying to craft an organization from that. And that was a process, but just finding that niche. And also, like Chloe was saying, really making sure that you're staying on target with what you're doing as a nonprofit, because sometimes you don't also see that social media following or a big influence, but you see the influence that you're making in person, because it is about those in-person connections when it came to my nonprofit in my scenario. But yeah, that was for me.
I would say business-wise, especially as a young person, there's just some things that you can't do by yourself, especially when you're underage. And so when you're trying to get like your nonprofit actually recognized by your state and then 501c3 status and navigating like funding, I think that the most important thing is to find a group of adults, of people, of mentors, of adults who are going to be willing to help you navigate those things. So you need someone to help you with the legal stuff. You need someone to help you with the financial things. That's like a treasurer. Like basically collect a board of advisors who can help you with all of the official things going on for your nonprofit. And then also have a separate section of advisors for all the like administrations of your nonprofit. So like whatever your organization wants to do, you have the idea, but someone else can help you bring it to the next level or on a bigger scale. So really just like asking for help, like having a clear mission statement, having a clear way in which you think you're going to make your impact, and like pitching that to people to be like potential mentors or help is going to be invaluable to getting it up and running quicker with less mistakes.
For me, when I first created my first business, I come from a very, very entrepreneurial family. My parents have had tons and tons of businesses, and being able to learn about like when there's something that you are interested in and that you want to create something that you can do. Like for me, when I created my cosmetic line, because I learned that 60% of cosmetics for kids are made with heavy metals, which cause cancer. And I was like, okay, I don't think that's right. It's not right. So learning about that, I was like, okay, well, I want to do something that I feel could impact in a positive way. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to create my own cosmetic line so that I can be able to have something that is perfect for kids. And at the time when I created it, I was 9. So I was like, for kids around my age, younger and older, that can like use it and it won't harm them, and honestly is good for them, like genuinely good for them. So that's what I wanted to be able to create something that created a positive impact. And my parents taught me, okay, so if you're going to create a business, then you have to find what your market's going to be. You're gonna have to find out what makes your brand different, or whatever you're going to do, find what makes it different and what makes it stand out. And for me, that's what I feel like really helped me to be able to be like, oh, okay, I understand here. So I want to do this, and I want to be able to create something that makes positive impact. And from there, I have a new clothing line that I'm working on, which is creating sustainable fashion, taking from fast fashion and going thrifting and finding jean jackets that are made from like many, like the amount of clothes that go into landfills and dumps will stay on the planet for so long. I don't have my statistics with me right now, but it is so crazy, and it affects our planet, and it affects the air, and it affects everything. And being able to do something about that in my way, which is taking fast fashion and turning it into sustainable fashion. And I think that's really, really important and really cool, because everybody needs clothes. I really hope you wear clothes, honestly. If not, that's a little bit scary. So like, that's something that I've been doing, and I like to find ways to make whatever is going on in the world better, and finding ways to do that with anti-bullying and with suicide prevention. I've been involved with that for so long. Like, I mean, I am only 14, but in my terms of so long, since I was 5. So just finding ways to help people is what's really, really important to me, and finding ventures that I can go on to do that.
Thank you. For time's sake, can you guys give us a one-word answer of what makes you unstoppable? I got everybody stumped.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last word.
What makes you unstoppable in one word?
I'd say my empathy is what makes me unstoppable, just because that's in everything that I do and every part of my work.
Technically, this is a few words here. I think I live my life without fear or rejection or failing. So I think that's what makes me unstoppable.
For me, I have 2 answers because I can't decide on one. I feel like going into everything with excitement. Like when you find, okay, I want to do this, and being excited about it and putting your best foot forward and having work ethic and drive inside of that. So taking that excitement and having drive all intertwined, I feel like is what makes me unstoppable.
Could definitely give a multi-word answer, but I would say that I'm unstoppable because I'm an optimizer, in the sense where I'm always trying to be the best version of myself, and I'm always trying to help make my communities a better version as well.
Wow, those are all great answers. And again, thank you guys on behalf of the Communication Student Board and Role Model Magazine for coming on today and talking with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you all. Can you hear them clapping? Okay. Yeah, that's all right.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, same here. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate being here and everything.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you guys.
All right, I think now we're gonna go into an intermission of about 10 minutes. So if you guys wanna grab some food from Marketplace or some cookies in the corner, we'll be back with our in-person panelists in about 10 minutes. All right, thank you.
So we're going to start with Dr. Kennard. Dr. Kennard is one of our main communication professors. She has a doctorate in communication, has done a lot of amazing things like hike the Appalachian Trail. And I'll let her introduce herself before we get started.
Okay, so for those of you that are just joining us, thank you for that, Mohammed. I am Dr. Kennard. I am on the faculty here at Ohio Wesleyan in the Department of Communication, and I have the honor and the privilege of meeting and talking today with some wonderful women that will be joining me here on the stage shortly. And so with that, I will introduce them. And I'm having a panicked moment. Was there a specific order that I was supposed to introduce them in? I think you just play it on there. Do you know which name goes with it? Yeah. All right. We have Alexis Kemp. Look at this. We have Roba Arman. So if anybody's nervous, they can't be nervous now because I've screwed this up so much. All right. And I can't sing, so I'm not going to fill in for you. We have Alexis Kemp. And we have Bibi Adiose. So if everyone can give a nice, warm, inviting, there we go. I don't want to make it too weird, but it would be like more intimate, and it, I think would feel a lot better for all of us if we kind of maybe just got a little closer, right? You don't have to, but it would be nice. And the chairs do kind of like click when you sit down. It was scary. But it's not just me. She did it right. Yeah. All right. So I think it makes the most sense, and you all have a microphone, so if we want to just take turns, sort of, if you can introduce yourselves and just briefly tell us your story. So just to give everybody a little bit of context, as we talked to Sandra earlier, she's made the 100 Unstoppable Women that she selected and hand-curated for this book that she is created, and all of you will probably be receiving because we're raffling those off today. But she's picked women that were inspiring. So kind of just give us your story. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you grow up, what you're most passionate about, and kind of like how did you get to where you are today? If you want to start.
Yeah, is it working? We're good? Okay. So my name is Roba. I'm Roba Arman. I was born Columbus, Ohio. I'm 26 years old. I am, I guess, a digital artist, and I also work for IKEA as their graphic communication leader, so I make all the graphics that are in the store. And yeah, I've been drawing since I was pretty young, not very well. I don't think I got good until high school when I was like actually focusing on what I was doing. And I started doing digital art in 2019, when I started getting more serious about it. I bought an iPad Pro, and it was a lot of money, and I was like, if you're gonna spend all this money, you have to be serious about it. And then I just started posting on Instagram, not really paying attention to, what that was gonna do, and that led to a mural that I got opened in September, and this job that I have now, and it's all been self-taught, so that's exciting, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome, thank you. All right, Alexis?
All right, hi, I'm Alexis Kemp. I'm from New Washington, Ohio. It's a really, really small town, north side of Crawford County. Let's see what I'm passionate about. gosh, passionate about helping others. My name actually means helper. I don't know if any of you guys know your Enneagram type, but I'm number 2, helper. So, you know, also I've always been passionate about sports. Grew up super tomboy, big football fan, and actually my degree is in broadcast journalism. Where's Jada? There you go. And I was sports broadcasting. That was my thing. So, so now, oddly enough, God's plan doesn't always align with yours, but I'm a real estate agent. I started my own team about 3 years ago now, Capel & Co. with Coldwell Banker. And I also have a company with my husband that we flip houses. He does all the dirty work, and I do the fun design stuff, and then we, you know, bicker over the little bit. Yeah. But so that, also a mother, we have a blended family, so a mother of 5, including 2 bonus kids from 13 all the way down to 5 months. So a lot of things to juggle, but that's me in a nutshell. Very busy. Yeah.
Very busy. Awesome. And then BB, Attorney BB Adiose, if you could.
Hello, yes. And then I grew up in Nigeria. My parents are Nigerians. I lived out there till about 13, and then I moved back to the United States. I finished high school and then went on to college. I finished my undergrad actually at 19, and I remember going to my advisor for a recommendation letter, and I want to go to law school, and he said to me, well, you're too young to go to law school, take a break. But one thing was I was driven, I was motivated, and I'm like, I'm done with my undergrad, I'm going. And I, you know, put my application in without his, you know, with or without his letter. Thankfully got in, and my journey began there. I think what I'm passionate about is helping people. I do love to help people, and one of the things that I think is really great is lawyers generally have portrayed as heartless or maybe mean or not very nice and caring, but I'll say I bring compassion to my cases and compassion, to all my clients' cases. So yeah, that's my story.
Awesome, thank you. So I guess I'll give you just a little bit of background on the questions here. So we've been working with the student board for the Department of Communication. We have 5 current serving members, and so they really came up with these questions, and they wanted to try to reflect. 4 out of 5 of them are seniors, of course, so getting a job is of utmost concern at the moment. And so they kind of came up with these questions. And the next question, if you can each answer for us, is sort of when did you realize that this is what you wanted to do? And I'm very candid with them. I tell them all the time I had no idea I wanted to teach until I started teaching in graduate school. And then I was like, I love this, and I need to do this for the rest of my life. So sort of when did you realize this was the profession you wanted to pursue, and was there any one certain thing that inspired you?
Well, professionally, I didn't realize until June this past year. I was working at IKEA beforehand, but I was mostly into the numbers aspect, analyzing and deciding where things could sell better in the store. And then I was still doing digital art, and I just didn't feel very qualified because I was, self-taught. And my current manager talked to one of my friends and was like, hey, maybe Robo should apply for this position. And I was like, okay, you know what? Worst case, I don't get it, and I wasn't really looking for it anyway. Best case, I get it, and I'm doing both things, professionally and free time, doing something that I actually like to do. And then I got it, and, have a really great team with me, and we get to do a lot of fun projects, and my boss gives me a lot of free range, so I'm lucked out completely. But art wasn't really on my books, like, ever. I always thought, like, it's fun to do, but you're not going to make money on it, like that typical thought process, even though all my family are teachers and they also don't make that much. But I got this position and felt like, you know what, it is achievable. So
I love that part of your story, though, like how it's not going to hurt to do it, right? I feel like I tell some of you that, right? Like what it's going to cost you some time, but yeah, go for it. That's amazing. Alexis?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm in a completely different field than what I had dreamed about and pictured myself in. I had my daughter at 22, and when priorities change, your dreams kind of change along with it. So I stayed at home with my kids for a while, and it wasn't until somebody said to me, hey, you really remind me of my friend Mary, and she's this incredible, successful real estate agent. Have you ever thought of that? And literally had never thought of it. Grew up in a small town where people would live in the same house for 40 years, you know, that wasn't really a thing. And, you know, my wheels started turning. I sat down with Mary and we had a 3-hour-long conversation and got my real estate license. But it was, gosh, about 3 years ago that my career in real estate was taken a step further, and that also stemmed from a group of women, my Monday night Bible study group. Mama Dixie was there, and she had us all do this exercise, and she asked each of us, when you were a child, what did you play? You know, like, did you play school? You know, and what are you now? Are you a teacher? And this and that. And I thought about it. I'm like, oh, I was playing with the boys, usually at recess, and playing quarterback or, you know, a leader, you know. So she said, so you were a leader. And are you a leader in what you do now? And I said, not really. She asked, why? And I had to think about it. And I answered very honestly. But, you know, at the time, I'm single mom, 100% commission job, and I said, I don't want to let anybody down. I don't, you know, feel like I'm in a position where I can take on that responsibility. And what she said was so profound. She asked me, have you ever considered who you might be letting down by not stepping into who God created you to be? I'm going to say it one more time because she's, again, have you ever considered who you might be letting down by not stepping into the person God created you to be? So she took my fear and flipped it, right? And so at that time, I had been pondering starting my own real estate team, and I felt like, okay, that was I can't ignore this anymore. And wouldn't you know it, one of my former clients who I'd always pegged as, oh, she'd be a great agent. Someday, if or when I'm ready to start a team, she would be awesome. She texted me the next day, you know, simple real estate question. And I said, funny you reached out. I was just thinking about you. We met for coffee. She got her license within a month. And now we're a team of 5, including my mom. She's a full-time nurse and works her tail off, and you know, we're getting her off her feet more with the supplemental income, and we'll hopefully help get her to retire early. But all of these things, if I wasn't challenged by somebody, you know, I would have let my fear hold me back from that. So that was a very distinct moment for me.
That's amazing. Thank you. And Bibi, anything that that moment when you kind of knew this is what you wanted to do?
Mine's kind of funny. I was a talkative child and, you know, argumentative child. And I was told that you'll be a good lawyer, you'll make a great lawyer since I was like 8. And that just stuck with me, and I'm like, okay, I don't even know what lawyers do, but I'll be a lawyer. So it just stuck, and I went through the process. I didn't know exactly what part of law I wanted to do, what area. I'm like, I'm just doing law, and I did. I graduated right out of college, law school, and worked at the government for like 12 years at the Food and Drug Administration. And that was a great experience, and I think that really helped me to be better at what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm an immigration attorney where I help people regularize their status here in the United States. And if anyone would know by watching the news, it's a very really difficult time for families. They go through so much pain, so much anguish. And I feel like the experience that I've had has really helped me to be able to help them. So, and the arguments and being talkative helps me writing briefs and winning arguments and cases, so, hey.
That's such important work, too. That's amazing. All right, so thinking about all of that and sort of like what inspired you, I'm just gonna imagine that there were some hurdles along the way, right? There are a lot of factors that go into which hurdles we face. And we don't necessarily have to keep going around the circle, but it seems to be working, right? So, Roba, if you don't mind telling us, what are some of the hurdles that, kind of popped up for you along the way? I know that, it hasn't been a long time that you've been in this career, but I'm sure getting there were some things. And so not only just what were they, but then also like how did you get past them or overcome those?
I will say reasserting myself and like having confidence in me knowing what I'm talking about. I definitely, even when I'm fully prepared for something, I'm always like, but what if I'm wrong? So yeah, and especially having been in a different role in the store, it was pretty difficult to just go into a whole different side of this and then be like, I also know what I'm talking about here just as much as I knew when I was in the other role. So I wouldn't say that I'm past it yet, but I am working on it. I like to have little sheets of like evidence if necessary, just like, this is, if you look here, it says right here that we need to do this. But yeah, it's just really getting over that self-doubt that you have, and then you got this.
Yeah, and I think I'll just sort of insert that part of this narrative, right? Like as women in general in this society, like asserting yourself is sometimes frowned upon or viewed negatively or talked about negatively. And so we sometimes almost feel guilty if we're assertive, or we feel self-conscious about that, right? I'm being too assertive or too aggressive. And so I made eye contact with a couple of my students because we've been talking about this, right? And just working on ways to build our own confidence and be more confident. So I appreciate you talking about that. All right.
All right. Some hurdles I've faced. Well, one in like the sports broadcasting thing is, definitely male dominated. And I feel like I've always kind of grown up trying to prove like, just as good as the boys, or, not only do I deserve a space there, but hey, I can do it better too.
I have 3 brothers, and my sister played semi-professional football. So
awesome.
I'm the girly one in my family somehow, so I get it.
So there's that, and always that motivation. I think I've had to prove myself. But also getting into real estate, at the time I had just gone through a divorce, single mom, and I felt like I didn't really fit in, and I, had some insecurities with that. But I think, and maybe that imposter syndrome a little bit, like, oh, they're gonna find out. I don't really fit in here. I'm faking it. But obviously learning as you go. But I think to Roba's point, like a lot of that is that self-doubt and, kind of shifting it into like, oh, I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to prove that, I deserve to be here, and I want to be, up where those guys are. So, yeah.
For me, I think the largest hurdle I faced was I moved from DC here to Columbus, and I didn't know anyone. And I first took like 2 years off. I had a baby as well, and just trying to figure out my way around Ohio and Columbus. And, I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm a lawyer, I know, but do I really want to do this? And then a couple of friends, were like, why, you're good at this, you should do this. I said, okay. I registered my company, and I didn't know a single person. And that was, for me, the largest hurdle. I rented an office, and I started handing out flyers, hired people to hand out flyers, and put ads out there, social media and everything. And I actually had people in the community reach out to me and, invite me to speak, because they're like, there are many attorneys out here. We need you, we need you, you're still needed. And I think that kind of ties into that, who really, they don't know me, I don't know them, why are they gonna trust me, why are they gonna give their cases to me? But, I was able to, be confident, fake it till you make it, and just really get out there and, started with the very first case, won that case, and it just goes from there. After like my first 3 years, my practice, I don't do any advertising. It's 100% referral based, and I think that just speaks to people in the community getting to know you and knowing the quality and value of work that you bring. So.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I love, that is important. Fake it till you make it. Good advice. All right, and so in that similar vein, the students are curious, what advice do you have for women or folks, people, anybody that's entering into their specific field? So again, remember, these are a bunch of college students, a lot of seniors, trying to sort of break out into the world. Do you have any specific advice for them?
I would try everything. I mean, just like try everything. Anything that you have a little bit of an interest in, look it up, find somebody you can shadow, and then see if it's what you actually want. And then remember that it's not permanent. If you don't like it, you can always reassess and then go from there.
I was going to add that last part if you didn't, right? So like, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And also like, listen to your body, because you're like, after I finished my undergraduate degree, I actually worked for 2 years as a marketing and sales rep, and I was miserable. It wasn't for me, right? I was good at it too, right? But I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled, and so listen to that, and it'll be fine, and you can pivot at any point in your life, right? And you may change, and you may grow, and it might be that you loved one thing one day, but then, you kind of grow out of that, or you find something new that really ignites your passion. So that's really great advice. I love that. Try anything. All right, Alexis?
I would say foster the relationships that you have, and continue to, make and foster more relationships. That even the Girls on Fire, we're talking about that, the relationships. The people that inspired me, it was people that I knew, and then, talk to people where you want to be, right? Learn about their stories, and God has a beautiful way of, this web of occurrences that we do not see, right? And just have faith in that, and trust, and be a good person. Treat people well, and good things will come your way.
Well, I think finding, once you figure out what you want to do, find like a mentor. Mentorship, I think that is so key, because not only do you build the connection and the relationship, you also kind of figure out, is this really for me? You might think you want to do it, but after, talking to a mentor, spending time in that field, you decide, maybe this is not it. And then that way you can pivot and move on to the next thing. So find a mentor, people you trust, and someone you can call on. If you have any questions, problems, if in that field, whatever, you need to have people that can support you through that process.
Well, that segues nicely into my next question, so thank you for that. Mentors are really, really important. And speaking of mentors, also your role models. So thinking about the work that Sandra does and everything that she's been doing, and partnering young women and girls with other women and girls who are working. Who, if you have one, is your role model? And if you don't, or who is that, what attributes do you look for in a role model? And what do you sort of hope to model for other young women?
So I'm going to be just like the Girls on Fire and say my mom. She actually gave me the advice of, she didn't actually tell me it, but she showed me with her actions of not really feeling like you have to stick to one path. She went to college as a biology major and graduated with an English degree, and then she became a teacher for middle schoolers. It's okay. It looks better on the floor. Yeah, she became an English teacher for middle schoolers, and then became a principal, and then started her own school. And in the meantime, she became a family counselor. And so she's just all about whatever her passion is, and she goes for it. So definitely her. And then in the art world, I really love the artist who painted Obama's portrait. He has a beautiful art piece in the Columbus Museum of Art, and his whole theme is just taking Renaissance portraits and making them relevant. And it's just so beautiful, just overwhelmingly beautiful. And I remember seeing that when I was maybe 12, and just being so overwhelmed with how huge it is, and then how the justification of it was just gorgeous. And I can't remember his first name, so I don't want to butcher it. So if you want to look him up, he painted Obama's portrait. So.
All right. So I'll give you a few, and I'll start with the same. My mom, she's awesome. She's been a hard worker, been a best friend, and always there for me. So to piggyback off everyone else. Another role model has been my mentor, Mary, and she was that agent that someone said, "You remind me a lot of Mary." We've become great friends. We work in the same company now. She's my person to call on, along with some managers too, but Bibi is so right. You have to have those people like, hey, what would you do? You know, give me the words to say. What? And I joke and I say, I need a bracelet that says WWMD, what would Mary do? In real estate. So yeah, she's phenomenal and carries herself with poise and grace, and I admire that. The more distant role model would be Michelle Obama. I think she's brilliant, she's smart, she's educated, and she, you know, I feel like she has that great balance of, she has her own identity, but she's also an incredible mom, an incredible wife, and a scholar in her own right. And I really admire all of that.
So I guess I'll say my mom too.
Now you have to. She's watching.
Hardworking. Yes, she is. And but really, my sister actually is who really inspires me. She's actually younger than me, so this is interesting. But she has been through so many obstacles in life and has just really been tenacious, and she's persevered. And if I ever feel like, oh gosh, this is too hard, I think of her, and I'm like, if she could go through what she went through and be successful, you know, this is nothing. So she's definitely my inspiration. She's never given up. She had her dreams from childhood and has seen them through. So yeah, my little sister.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's important to have a role model, I think. And I feel like as I was listening to your answers, I didn't think of my own answer, and I think I would have copped out and just said I take inspiration from so many people. You know, I'm inspired today by this event in so many ways, right? And so just kind of cherry picking all of those little things to continue to like get energy. And of course, young people I'm inspired by. That's why I do this work, right? Sometimes it feels like, what am I going to wake up for today? But I never have to question that, so it's really nice. All right, and so I'm going to do one more question before we go to the audience. And if you were paying attention during the Girls on Fire, I think you'll know what this question is. What is one word that makes you unstoppable?
I would say unique. Nobody else is like you. So if you feel like there's something for you to offer, then offer it, because nobody has experienced the world the way that you've experienced the world?
Okay. Oh, I guess in one word it would be my faith. You know, I've been through hard times. I've made, you know, poor decisions at times, and my God has never forsaken me. And, you know, even in the valleys, I know that Jesus has gone ahead and made a way for me. It's played out in my life so many times. So, you know, finding that way, that's another phrase I live by, find a way, because there's always a way. But, yeah, my faith.
It's hard to be one word.
I know. Many words.
But I'm trying to think of one word. I think I would say I probably would be a positive attitude. I don't want to say winning, because I don't win everything, but I just always see the good side to things. I mean, I try to be balanced and try, you know, I have my people to call when I need a reality check. I do, but I'm usually very positive, and I'm always willing to think outside the box. And I think in what I do, that is critical, to think outside the box and think of new strategies and ways to be successful.
Yeah, and to always find the way, like Alexis said, right? Thinking creatively about that. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to segue now to questions from the audience, and Megan's got a microphone. So if anybody has a question for our panelists, it can be whatever. Just raise your hand and she'll come to you. Yeah.
Should I introduce myself? Okay. I'm Anna. I'm a senior. I'm studying politics and government and sociology with a minor in social justice. My question is for Roba, but for all of you, I guess. Roba, you mentioned feeling like you weren't qualified for the position that you now hold. How did you sort of maybe convince yourself that you were, or like work through that? Because that's something that I'm trying to work on right now.
So, that's a tough question. For this particular role, I got a lot of confidence because the person who was going to hire me kind of asked for me to apply, so that really helped. But even with that, I was kind of like, is it, am I the right choice, or is she just like my personality? I wasn't really sure. But then I sat down in front of the competency profile, which just goes over everything that this role entails, and then said, can I handle everything that this is asking me to handle? And I felt like I could. And then I also gave my little pep talk to myself and said, you know, worst case scenario, you don't get it, and we'll find something else. But I've dealt with this for most of my career because I didn't go to college. It just didn't fit for me. But I have a pretty analytical mind, and a friendly personality, so I was able to get into positions using that, and then with that, remembering that, this position was a little bit easier because worst case scenario, I can learn on the job, and they like me enough to let me try.
So it's Anna, right? Okay. Gosh, so when I kind of went through that, I think I had to take a step back and consider whose thoughts I was considering more, other people or my own, because I knew the whole time, like, I can do this, I can be one of the best. But it was when I was focusing too much on what they thought, how they were looking at me. Oh, she's not qualified, or she, you know. So I had to kind of take a step back and say, well, what matters is what I think, because I'm the one that controls what I'm going to do. So, hope that helps. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think for me, it was the people that surround me. I remember my husband is a very difficult person to please even, but he said to me, looked me in the face and said, you succeed at anything you put your mind to, so you can do it. And that was really probably one of the strongest encouragements for me, and that just really gave me a lot of confidence. Of course, my family and, and my faith, knowing that I can do anything through Christ. So that's how I overcame.
Awesome. And I think with the live stream, we have probably time for one more question from the audience. And then we don't have to stop, though. The live stream just stops. And then they're going to miss out. And then we can have like a more intimate conversation where we don't have to be on stage anymore. All right, Katie.
I'm Katie. I'm a communications senior. I guess my question is, like, what advice do you guys have as women, less career-wise, but as women going forward? What's been the best advice?
I can start.
Just keep that track.
Yeah, just keep it's all right. You can only control yourself. My mom says that to me a lot, and it's very important. You have to keep reminding yourself you cannot control anyone but yourself, so do what you can do, and then everything else will happen.
Can I ask a little bit further? Is there like a fear behind what you're going into, or sorry, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Like juggling.
Right? Yeah.
What you were on the panel?
I think just in the sense of, like, you have all in some way succeeded to do what you wanted to do, or are continuing to do what you want to do. And something that we touched on is that, like, we do live in a very male-dominant society, often, well, let me not lie, very white male-dominant society. And just going forward in that kind of, with that in mind, how you conduct yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I would say it's another one of those things where you can switch and kind of make it empowering to you, because there are so many men in this room, I apologize for saying this, but there are so many things that women can do that men can't do too, and vice versa. But draw from that, and I happen to go from a male-dominated field to a field where it's predominantly female real estate agents, and I feel like we see a lot of women succeed in our field because we're empathetic, and caring, and you're helping people through, very stressful times in your life. So I would say draw strength from, the inner, your female self, and the strengths that we have, and look at that as an attribute and not something to overcome.
For me, I would also piggyback on that. I think, lawyer, it's like pretty much a male-dominated area, and I think women, we bring empathy and just more care, and we connect. Maybe mostly we connect better, maybe with our, clients that we're working with, and I think that that's a positive, and you just need to own that. I walk in anywhere, I don't care what anyone is saying, I just do what I have to do, and I let my work speak for itself. If I walk in and there's someone has a negative thought about me, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to focus on what I'm here to do, and just keep that, just your head up and just walk in, do what you're there to do, and people are going to respect that.
Yeah, and I think I'll answer this one too. I think being true to yourself and being true to who you are, and never really changing that, and then sort of surrounding yourself with the people that uphold that and admire that and respect that and honor that about you. And so, like, to the men in the room, if we're going to acknowledge them, like, you showed up for this, right? And that says a lot about who you are and your character, and listening to the women in your lives and the things that they go through, and how, society can have impacts on all of that. And so just staying true to yourself and then being mindful of who you surround yourself with. And we all know, like, it's possible that we get into things that are unavoidable, certain situations and things like that, but that goes back to what Roba said, like, you can only control yourself, right? And what you're doing and how you react to things. So I think that's really good. And so looking at the time here, I think we're going to say bye to the live streamers. So thank you for tuning in and joining us. And then as far as the rest of the event is concerned, we just sort of had this time. There are cookies, there's water, and we'd like to first thank all of the panelists. And then I'm going to turn it over to Megan, and she's going to tell you what's next.
Hi, everyone. I just want to remind everyone here that we are raffling off 20 of Sandra's books, The Unstoppable 100 Women and Girls, and we'll send you an email with that in it, so keep an eye on your inbox. And I also just wanted to say a thank you to everyone for being here today. This was, I know, really inspirational for me. So for the next hour or so, if you have any specific questions, it's kind of just like a chat and mingle time. So feel free to ask questions to the panelists, each other, and just kind of hang out and eat some cookies. Thank you, guys.
And make sure that there was a sign-in sheet, I think, on Mohammed's computer. So if you came in late or if you joined us later, just make sure that you get your name on there, because otherwise you'll miss the email to get the book, and the book's really exciting. So, all right, one more round of applause. Oh, yeah, and there is a gift bag, too. So on the back table there with the Role Model magazine, there are gift bags for everyone, so you can just grab one of those on your way out. Whenever that would be, I invite you to stick around, though. Yeah, all right. Thanks, everyone.